let's see. This working? Let's... Alright. Let's see here. Got that. Got that. Okay. Things are in order. Copy. Okay. Sorry, I'm just getting things set up over here, as per usual. Just going through a few little things before I get started drawing the actual stuff. Okay, grab this. Alright, we got that. Okay. There's that, and there. Okay. Oh, it doesn't look... Oh, Versus, you're here today. Sorry. I was just going through some things over here on my end. How are you doing? I was gonna get started working on the new comic page here. I say new, just latest. I have like, probably 5 more pages drawn out after this so far, but this is the one that is currently being worked on. The one that you can actually see, because the others would just be scribbles with white in the background. There we go. Lower the opacity, and then we can get started on the actual blackening of the blacks. Okay, there we go. Lower it to 100 magnification, and we get started on the kanji here. This room that Doko is running through right now is the, it's actually the room from the very first page of this comic. It's where the healing pods are, which is, you can see a little sliver of it right here. And then on the wall back here is like the kanji for recovery or regeneration to give an indication as to what the chamber is about. Oh, I'm doing okay-ish today. Not in as much pain as I was on Sunday, so I'm up and working, and that's what matters here. And congratulations on employment. That is always a good thing, to have a steady income. Not be worrying as much about financial troubles. Is it an exciting job? Are you helping out at Area 51 or anything? For me, currently, I am just working as someone that takes commissions. So, I'm sorta more in the, I guess, unemployed field. But I'm sure I'll be getting a different job at some point, so I don't run out of money in the less stable frequency of income. It's nice to be able to eat and everything. Hello, Ballier, how are you doing? Sunday was, alright-ish. I helped, the aunt and cousin move some things out of Grandma's place here, since Grandma isn't here anymore. But, after that was immense body pains. Yeah, I had not felt them that bad in probably about half a year. But I got back to work eventually, and after laying in the shower for about 40 minutes, I managed to recover enough to head down to the bookstore, and I didn't realize it was Easter that day, so I was completely confused by why so many people were out and about that day until people started saying Happy Easter when I got to eat at the bookstore, at the bar area. But I had brie and ham and a cup of the soup there. Well, hard work sometimes translates to better pay, so I'm sure you're at least getting compensation for that work. But yeah, labor can be pretty boring. I always hated having to go into the factory, but it's what I had for... It's about the only option around the area I was in for an income. So, other than that, it'd be like working at the local grocery store, pretty much. Oh, well. Chips are always good. Earthworm Jim always had a chip buddy as a power-up. In Earthworm Jim 2, not in the first game. He'd always say tender whenever he'd pick one up. It gives you like 200% health. Fish and chips, it's always a good staple when it comes to food. Yeah, money is a pretty universally sought after type of thing. Doko's friends here are really trying to make money off of the tournament and his success, or perceived success, but Doko himself isn't all that concerned about money usually. He lives a pretty simple life, and is a bit mentally impaired, so the values of currency do not really register as much to him. Yeah, fish and chips is a British thing. It's fried fish and French fries for Americans, but I think they still call them chips here in America, like where you get fish and chips. Daniel is over in Europe. Britain, England area. Yeah, I'm probably, after I'm done with the stream here, I'm going to make some ramen with a slab of ham I'll slice off, maybe an egg, and either cabbage or broccoli, and probably chop up some onion to put in it too. Ramen's always an easy one to go with and, like, edit to however you want it to be. My mouth always waters when I see people do, like, a good Asian noodle dish. Although I don't think you could really call ramen amazing. but it works when you don't have other types of noodles. And it's cheap. I don't have to pay as much money for it, so it works out for me. Yeah, I was just watching, when I scanned the comic page in here a couple of hours ago, Doug Tenaple, the guy that made Earthworm Jim, he'd put up a video where he was showing one of his sons how to draw and stuff. And listen to that while I was originally upping the brightness and contrast and stuff on the page, and then like making sure the borders were all right, all white, not all right, but all white. Rhyming words. Ramen is the type of noodles that you see for like 99 cents anytime you enter the Asian aisles at the store. It is pretty much the cheapest you can do. Good more specialized ramen, like, oh, what's a good one? Can't, the better ramen is like $1 or like a couple of dollars, but I just get like the 99-cent packs usually, because it's like, I'm not that rich, so I can adjust it in editing when I get home. Add whatever I want to it. Hey Shadow, how are you doing? We're just talking about what we're eating and stuff, and I'm making ramen after this. Put in some probably broccoli or cabbage and a slice of ham, maybe egg and chopped onion in it. I'm just working on the next comic page here. Doko's going through the tournament, the building that's at the back of the tournament that you always see like the King's Shadow statue in front of when they're, that's above like the entrance whenever they enter the tournament ring. Yeah, I guess I'll show it again. He's going through. This is the, oh, nope. Yeah. There we go. This room here is the first. It's the room that Veltzer and Doko are in the first page of the comic, and that you see Hawker and Decker recovering in later and stuff. It is. I was working on the kanji that's on the wall back there. It's the recovery or regeneration is what that stands for, which gives an implication to what goes on in the room. You can see like a sliver of the regeneration capsule there. There's 2 of them in there. I think you can see that at, like, both of them at one point, but I have it, like, drawn out in a separate sheet of paper, how it's laid out. And then these are you see the stairs in the first page, but here you see Doko actually going up it on page 45 here. And it leads up to where the, people that have lost are watching over the tournament matches from above. And he's just looking for the Hawker and Stacy and stuff. And he's like, have you guys seen Hawker? And they're like, no. And, yeah. Then Levacat's like, she probably wants to be alone since she ran off, but you should be focusing on getting, like, focusing on the final match that you're going to be in and stuff. And that's how, that's what all is going on this page. Now, let's get back to 100% magnification, lower opacity, and here's the blackening process again. Do I have any... No, I do not have a snack out here. I just have this bleh tea that, this herbal tea that Mom left the last time she visited because she had a cold. I took it to, like, see if it might help at all with the pains I have, but, so far all it's doing is tasting horrible. So, kind of a lose-lose there, but you live and learn. Hello, Handgun, how are you doing? Everyone here has just been having a time talking about income and fish and chips and ramen and watching me doodle the next comic page. Yeah, I've got about 5 pages scribbled out after this one so far, but they are not in a viewable state yet because I haven't done enough work on them. Oh well, hopefully you are all rested and relaxed and re-energized to take on whatever the later day brings. It is nice having music on during this, at least on my end. I was watching another thing I was listening to while I was upping the, like, contrast and whitening the borders before I did the stream was, I heard, like, the first 15 minutes of the interview that Creative Block did with, Vivziepop. Which I always like to listen to, like, creators and the goings-on that happens in their history and stuff. Oh, my heart is doing that thing, or what feels like my heart doing that thing where it feels like it's either skipping beats or not pumping as much as it should. I'm going to chalk it up to the temperature in here. It's getting warmer. Oh, and, have you beaten, how many times have you beaten the Resident Evil 4 remake at this point, Handgun? I imagine it's probably around 7, maybe 8 times? I am going to get up and get a snack, which will take probably half a minute. So, feel free to chat amongst yourselves, and I will be back in a moment. like jazz? Why, yes, as a matter of fact, I do love jazz. And I just came back, I discovered or rediscovered I have, like, corn nuts and, what are these? Oh, it's the chocolate-filled koalas, the Chinese, Japanese, whatever treat. And I will pour out some corn nuts on this paper towel like, oh, too many. Whoa, no. And now I am covered in corn nuts. Tastes good, though. I'll get to the koalas later. Yeah. Oh. They didn't include mercenaries in the initial package of 4? I would have thought that'd have been there from the beginning. A corn nut is a, let's see, it says it's a crunchy corn kernel. The real roasted corn kernels. Hear the ultimate crunch. Enjoy a true corn snack experience. That's all the description I got on them. Yeah, they're nice and salty and taste like corn. Kinda makes me want Frosted Flakes now. They're great! Oh, are not all the characters available for the mercenaries? That is really odd to me. I did see there's a new trailer for the new Resident Evil movie, that Death Island one. I haven't seen the trailer, but I did see that it, like, shows Umbrella security forces during the Raccoon City incident in a flashback, I presume. You know, snacks are a really good thing when all you've had to eat is like a bagel with eggs and bacon, and that's like it for the day. Just get so wrapped up in work. Yes, I hope the crunch of these kernels is very soothing for you. I have seen videos, like ASMR videos of like, what are they called? They're like glass pens, where you like, it's basically a pen made out of glass that has like no ink to it. You dip it into ink, and then you like just draw with the ink from the glass tip. And on paper, it makes a bit of a scratchy sound if you press it. And people make ASMR videos doing that. Personally, I'm just more interested in the inking process, is all. Oh good, so Wesker is there. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot this was the horrible tea. But it's what I got next to me. Yeah, Doko is a bit of a kid that grew up in the wilderness. His mind is not all that complex. And if you need shelter, you make shelter. You need fire, you break apart parts of a tree. Make that warmth. All of modern... well, I guess... for us it would not be modern society, it'd be super modern society, since this is from a time period we have not reached yet. But all of society type of norms are alien to Doko. Nah. Well, anatomy is important to understand. For my characters, it's... I guess knowing anatomy has helped, but since they're cartoony characters, it's not as much of a priority. Just make them however it appeals to me. Although I do remember the old Marvel guides and stuff going like, I think it's 6 heads. A person is like 6 heads tall. Then maybe 7 heads for a man, maybe 6 for a woman. I can't remember off the top of my head. Yeah, I think it was it John Romita that did the How to Draw the Marvel Way? The old guidebook on that. It was either him or one of the other, like, really, maybe John Buscema. But I forget who it is. John Romita's the one that he kind of became the main artist to me that, like, was looked up to at Marvel after Jack Kirby. Although I probably prefer the Steve Ditko Spider-Man. John Romita, he does good work, but his Spider-Man was too clean, if that makes any sense. It's not as murky of a New York City as Steve Ditko would do. And he did not do the action and very extreme poses as well as Steve Ditko to me. John Romita was very solid, and he did a great Spider-Man. But it doesn't match Steve for me. He made better looking humans a lot of times. But for actual, like, action and storytelling and stuff, I always prefer Steve. And the crazy artwork, I always prefer him. They were obviously trying to do the Romita type look for the 90s Spider-Man animated series. It's pretty much the iconic Spider-Man look. Yeah, knowing anatomy is basically... it's as good as it serves you. Once you understand it, that's pretty much the role that it fills, is just understanding how things work, so that then you can modify that however it suits your needs. It's pretty much how creating anything goes when it comes to learning things and stuff. Oh, so that's how that artist made that happen. Well, I can make it happen like this. I'm going to have one of the chocolate koalas now, because these corn nuts are very dry, and the koalas have cream chocolate in them. Oh, that is very tasty. Kinda don't want to drink the tea now, because I know it doesn't taste good. But I'm going to eventually need to, so my mouth doesn't get too dry. What were your guys' favorite superheroes growing up? If you had one. And, if you did, if you watched shows of them, which one would be your favorite show? Oh. Well, I hope you got something good from the kitchen versus. I have started eating the chocolate koalas. People like Daredevil a lot. There's something to be said about the underdog that can't see, overcoming that limitation, and then inadvertently causing the Ninja Turtles to happen. Yeah, Batman's always a classic. And of course, for him, you have Batman the Animated Series is like arguably the best superhero anything ever. For Daredevil, I actually like the original yellow suit more. Because it, like, looks like an actual suit to me, like an actual costume. The red one just looks like he's covered in red paint, is all. Yeah, Frank Miller pretty much defined Daredevil as a character, like his what would become his main thing, all the ninjas and all the stick training him and all that stuff. I do remember, I think it was a Steve Ditko issue, or it may have been a John Romita one, where Daredevil teams up with Spider-Man. And he had the yellow suit back then. They fought against the, what were they called? They were the circus supervillains. They were led by the ringleader, and it had the woman with the giant snake. And all that crazy stuff. I know that, the original Doctor Strange crossover with Spider-Man was Steve Ditko, because Steve did both of those characters, so it was like both of his characters getting together. And then, Evan Eastman and Peter Laird just continued where the, chemicals that hit Daredevil's eyes and made him blind continued bouncing to. Then it hit the jar that the Ninja Turtles, or the turtles that become the Ninja Turtles, were residing in. And that's how the Ninja Turtles originally came to be in the comics. Of course, they didn't say that it was Daredevil, the origin of that, because that'd be copyright, but it was pretty obvious what they were doing for when they did the origins of the Turtles there. Yep, Ninja Turtles were just a parody of literally all the edgy 80s stuff was all that they was a parody of that. And that was pretty much the appeal of the comic. It was all the, oh well, this is so dark and gritty, so let's make the most ridiculous thing we can out of that. Yeah, I've got the original Turtle comics up to, let's see, I have like these hardcover collections of the originals, and it goes up to where like the Turtles, like the Shredder gets killed in the very first issue. And then it's like, I think around 10 to 15 issues, before there's any sign that, like, he's around at all after that, because they had no idea they'd be bringing him back. You'd sometimes see the Foot Ninja, they'd run into them, but there was, like, no leader that they knew of. And then eventually, the Shredder returns, and April's store gets destroyed. They go to the farmhouse in the country and recover. And then I think the fourth... they spend some issues out there doing all sorts of stuff. And then it's like, I think the third, or... it might be the third collection, where they come back to New York, and they have, like, the big battle to, like, take back their home and everything, and fight back against the Shredder and kill him for good. Which it's technically not the original Shredder at that point, but it's still the same character, basically. It's interesting. The 2003 show is what did it most accurately to the comics. They haven't ever done it like 100% accurately, but the 2003 show is the best you're gonna get in terms of like being faithful to the tone of the comics. And then the final book and a half, or the final 2 hardcover books, it skips a ton of issues, and it, 'cause after they did the Return to New York saga, Eastman and Laird, the 2 creators, stopped working together, and then they come back to work together for City at War, which is like a long time later, and it was supposed to be them resuming and like starting a new era for the Turtles was the idea, I think. But it ended up just being the last thing they worked on together of the Turtles. So, That's why that's included in the collections, because it technically has them again working on it. City at War is where Karai was first made up and shown and stuff. In that one, I don't think she is, like, the daughter of the Shredder. I think she is just the Japanese leader of the Foot, like, the leader of the Japanese division. And now I have said more about the turtles than anyone has ever heard me go on about. Hopefully that was not too boring. Oh. I did get that last Ronin book that came out. That's like a possible future for the Turtles. That story. It's a very... It's got some sad moments to it. I think it goes a bit quickly at parts. But, it gets the job done. It's nice. I think it works off of an idea that Eastman and Laird had for an ending to the comics originally. But it incorporates a lot of stuff from after the original comics, too. For Spider-Man, I'd say Spectacular Spider-Man is the best Spider-Man show ever made. It's not the most faithful art style to, like, the classic Spider-Man, but in terms of, like, tone and characters and all of that stuff, it nails it perfectly. And I always love a good J. Jonah Jameson. That man is incredible. Parker, get in here! You're fired! Wait, I need you. Give me that. You're rehired. Oh, okay, now you're fired. Come back later. I need some more pictures. I just love that character. Typical New York bad boss. And these comics are nothing like those types of comics. I guess you have the Hawker, the Feathered Hawker, so that is a superhero in this. There are superheroes that exist in the comic world of this. Well, I hope you enjoy your rest, Versus. Good luck at the job. Make the money. Don't be too poor. Try to sustain your living. And we will see you later. I hope you get something good to eat as well. Unfortunately, you will not be around to have the sound of crunching corn nuts lull you to sleep. Yeah, got a lot of blank Doko stares in this one. Just that dead-looking face. Hello? Just pops up out of nowhere and startles Levicat. I'm wondering, when I do eventually get around to publishing these comics, I have thought before about what types of, like, additions to release of the comics. I figure I can... Probably the preferable way to do it would be to do it at the size that the sketchbook paper is at, which is pretty big. But maybe could do a smaller size as like a cheaper option. And then there's like, you could do a bigger size hardcover with like special behind the scenes notes at the end or interview or something. Maybe show some questions the audience has asked or something. Yeah, that's a Doko, alright. Just popping up like a piece in whack-a-mole. Yeah. Got a piece of the corn nut stuck in my tooth. But yeah, going... Preferably what I always want to do with, like, a release for a comic is a hardcover version. That's usually the kind I'm interested in. Unless the contents are just horribly, like, or just garbage on the inside. But, presentation-wise, I always prefer a hardcover. Just nice and sturdy. Doesn't bend and stuff like a paperback would. And what I plan to do for the, a hardcover release, or I guess whatever release ends up happening, is do what Dragon Ball does for the spines, where if you line up all the volumes in order, it makes a long picture along the spines. I drew out ideas years ago for how that would look, and it like has Doko running at the front, then Tesley and Mech in his hover car behind him. Then I think I had the Gorgok King after them, and then Sake, the wizard, the evil woman, is after her. And I think I might have had the Observer floating after her, but that would probably be later on in the picture, because things that involve that material don't happen until later. I was just, like, trying to come up with ideas for how the thing would look. And with how much stuff I've made up since I first came up with the comics, I've got a lot more characters that would, like, be in the in the parade of them. Don't know if I'd have King Shadow in there or not. I'd have the tournament announcer and some of the fighters probably from the tournament walking in the, like, on the sides of the volumes that cover the tournament saga here. Probably have Veltzer, Von Vangel, and, maybe a Kwashi, or probably the Claw, since he's the last opponent now. For Veltzer Von Vangel, I came up with his name because I kept trying to think of, like, super muscular characters and stuff. And, Jorgen von Strangle just kept popping into my head, so I was like, Jorgen von Strangle, Jorgen von Veltzer von Vangel, that's the name. That's how I came up with Veltzer's name. Very simplistic, I know, but I've stuck with it, I like it, so that's who he is. Well, I saw that the Fairly Odd Parents was getting a reboot, but I don't know if I've seen anything from it. I saw that clips of that not good live-action one that recently happened and ended, thankfully. But, I imagine that they can do a decent job with Fairly Odd Parents. Obviously, you'd want to get, like, Butch Hartman from back when he was, like, making the first few seasons. Getting him at all now is pretty... not a great idea, I'd say. But, yeah, as long as they get people that understand the characters, I'm sure they can do a good job. It's just that companies usually don't end up doing that for some reason. As they go by the charts and, well, this trend is what's popular and hip with the kids, so it will do good for cartoon. Let's make cartoon like that. Beep boop. Let us worship the almighty dollar. Uh-oh. Somebody's calling me. Unknown. Well, we'll just have to put up with that in the background. Yeah, Butch is, he's what I refer to as one of the crazy Christian types. There's pretty sensible ones, but then there's, Butch, and, the creators like him that go down that path. Trying to think of if I know what that number was that was calling. Yeah, there's the reboot of the Fairly Odd Parents, and then apparently there's a reboot being worked on of Ren and Stimpy. I have no idea how that's gonna go. I can only imagine it'll be way too tame. Not at all insane enough. But getting John Crispolucci, I don't know if that's what a company would do these days either. Yeah, Danny Phantom was the one that felt like it was more of a quality type of project to me. Fairly Odd Parents was good, but it felt more like a, standard cartoon as opposed to one that had like a focused narrative and plot and stuff. Whereas Danny Phantom obviously felt a lot more structured and stuff. I would have probably ended Fairly Odd Parents at, probably the first movie, but the second movie's pretty good. The first movie, it's just, I love that movie. It's like Crocker succeeds, takes over the world, gets like that Galactus-looking armor, and that is just badass. But TV Channel Chasers is, that is pretty nice too. Obviously has that great, Tenkaichi Budokai parody of Dragon Ball at the end there. And, it pretty much confirms to me that Tootie and Timmy do end up together in the future. I always liked how Tootie, her glasses are like, her eyelashes come off of her glasses. And like her mom, and presumably daughter in the future, also have eyelashes that come off of the glasses. So it's like, having eyelashes on the glasses is like a genetic trait for their family, which makes no sense, but that is a great little detail. And I'm not sure how you can do Catman without Adam West now, so good luck with that in the reboot. I do remember they premiered like a pilot a long time ago for what was his name? It's the spaceman that Timmy and his friends like. Spaceman Kith, is that it? It's something like that. And I remember I did enjoy the idea of it, but obviously it didn't get a series, so you didn't really get an idea for what the whole thing would have been like. There's so many, like, pilots and stuff that get made that it'd be great to see as, like, actual full shows, but only a select few ever get that. Which is how the business works, but it's just kinda sad that creators don't have the capabilities to do everything they'd want to on their own. That they have to resort to going to, like, companies and stuff to make their things. Because in a perfect world, we would just all be able to make whatever we want with, like, no effort. Just whatever we think up comes into existence. And that would be so incredible to see, like, everybody's just thoughts made into what they want them to be. And now I'm rambling about things that can't happen. But what can happen is me making this comic page by page. And eventually, after enough weeks and months and years, there will be something to actually show of it. Yeah, a whole series takes a lot of sacrifice to do, but eventually you do make what you want to make if you stick with it. And everyone, all the groups, like, trying to censor everything and just go to hell. As long as you're making it independently, that doesn't matter. It's what you want it to be and how it's supposed to be. The idea of banned books has always just been an idiotic concept in my eyes. Like, who is anybody to say that anyone cannot make anything? I get that there's people that are afraid of things, like, oh, it's teaching witchcraft, or it's showing the Nazis, or blah 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 blah. But it's like, it's someone's idea. It's their story. If you don't like it, make your own. Like, it's not harming anybody. Today we're tackling the real existential issues of society. Yeah, the whole concept of banned books always feels to me like it just gets the world more towards, like, the world of Fahrenheit 451, which is a god-awful future. No one should ever have to experience that. Yeah, banned books are always a subject that's easy to make an episode about. I remember the guy that did the series Mouse, the comic. I remember he reacted to his books getting banned. It was basically, well, all the people that banned that book are pretty much idiots, is what the mentality was, I think. What the? Why do I have two of these open? For some reason, it has two of this same comic page open. But as long as I'm saving it on this one, that... Whoa. There was some sort of loud rumbling outside, like some sort of truck went by. But I'm, like, up on the 19th floor of a building. So that is a very noisy truck. That or we're being bombed by aliens or something. You know, when I was making Levicat, I was going through... He had a few different designs, but none of them had this, like, outfit he's wearing. And one of them wasn't even a cat. It was like, he had eyeballs on the backs of the palms of his hand and stuff. He was like a four-eyed creature. Two on the face and two on the back of the hand. And everyone always says Decker looks like Hitmonchan. And I didn't even think of that until after I started making the comic. Because he evolved out of, like, this design where he had this more dreadlock-type structures coming off of his head. Because he doesn't really have hair. But basically all I did was just chopped off the dreadlocks and left them as just that short hair that you, or whatever that is for the structures of his head that you see in the comic. And he had boxing gloves on, so I got rid of the boxing gloves after the first issue he was in once I realized, oh, yeah, he could be mistaken for something like a Hitmonchan. But he has, like, that jewel on his head and a completely different outfit. His outfit more is actually... His shoes are supposed to be like the shoes that Goku and Krillin wear when they're little. Then when making Clampjaw here, he sort of turned out kind of like, he's red, but he's like a red small Hulk because of the, like, ripped pants going on. But then the upper half, it's more like Big Broody from the special edition level in Earthworm Jim, because he has, like, a giant mouth and closed eyes, and he always, like, tries to bite people to attack and stuff. And then Aquashi was just coming up with some aquatic-type girl. I knew I wanted her. I think I always had her planned to be part of Queen Shriek's forces. It's the Siren Queen that has not appeared yet in the series, but they've talked about her when she's talking to the Claw during their match, and he just says, well, if she's still around, I'd be surprised if she was not wary of me. And that just makes Aquashi angry, because she's, like, completely devoted to Queen Shriek. Yeah, the fighters here, I had to... It's probably the most effort I put into coming up with, like, designs for characters in a while, because most of the characters that appeared in the comics over the last 10 years, they'd already been, like, thought out back in high school and stuff, like, years before I started working on the comics. And I knew I wanted a tournament saga after the first saga, but I didn't have an idea for how the fighters would actually look like. I just knew I wanted them, because that was... In Dragon Ball, it always was, they'd have an adventure saga, and then a tournament saga. So I was kind of working off of that mentality when doing the tournament saga here as the second one. I did not intend for this comic issue to turn out as long as it has been. I was figuring it'd just be like 50 pages or something like the previous issue, but it is going to be one of the longer ones at this point. Yeah, I'm guessing it'll probably reach up into probably the 70-page mark with how I've been going on this comic. If I had a publisher or something, I'd probably have to adhere to some kind of limitation to how many pages I do per comic, but since I'm on my own, it kinda just goes however I want it to each issue. It's all just however I feel it should be for the story that's being told. I've got the basic story for the whole series mapped out in my head, but as I work on each issue, I add in the details as I go for the issues, and it shapes into a more defined thing as I work on each issue. Yeah, indie is always the way to go. It would be nice to be able to do that without worry of, like, economical issues. But it is the sacrifices you have to make if you value the thing you're making enough. It is worth it to do it as an indie. And if you're like, if things work out, you do end up getting funding from, like, the fans and everything, and it does work out. But that all gets into, like, how you market it and everything, and I know nothing about that. All I do is create, and then it just gets put up. But the indie stuff is always what provides the best way to capture what the creator intends. It is the purest form of their stories, not needing to adhere to any censorship guidelines or parental group whinings or anything. Just pure, unadulterated creativity. And some people can be considered more creative than others, and some people you might think that they shouldn't be making their thing, but they have every right to, and everyone values every story differently. All comes down to what the individual wants that determines what they think things should be like. What matters is that the creator has it being how they want it to be. That's what matters most with a creation. If anyone else likes it, that's more of a bonus. Yeah, well, if you ever come across that person, Shadow, feel free to let me know. That would be nice. But either way, I am going to be making it regardless. And since I have these on the computer, they will always be preserved, so I don't have to worry as much about the physical pieces getting damaged. Although the last time Mom was here, she ended up stuffing something under the bed that had my pictures were down there. Didn't bend the comic pages too badly, but it's a bit of a warp to it now, so I'm gonna have to sort of roll it back out a few times to get it readjusted. Yeah, I don't like some things about how Dragon Ball ended up, but I will fight to the day I die for Toriyama to have made it the way that he made it, because that is how it should be. It's not how I think it should be, but it is how the creator thinks it should be, so that is the priority. He has every right to do it his way, and I have every right to say that he did it wrong at certain parts. That is the world that you live in when it comes to creativity to me. Nobody's free from criticism, but creators are free to do as they think they should. Kid Buu is still fun as hell to watch. Love that fight. Goku bites him, Kid Buu bites back. I will say, Toyotaro does do quite some nice drawings at times. The story at this point is beyond me, but his artwork I've peeked in on from time to time, and I do like how he does some of the characters at parts. I like the picture he did of King Choppa and Nam together, and the implication that King Choppa was training Nam or something. He does good side pictures, like little, oh, this is how things are with these characters type of pictures. Boom, boom, boom. I think he did this picture. I think it's him. I have like a file somewhere that has the different artists that have worked on the franchise for like manga type stuff, like the SD comics and the Yamcha manga artist. And I think it's Toyotaro that did this hilarious picture of like Nappa putting a like super crown or whatever, a suit like a Mario crown on his head, and he just looks delighted as hell. It's so adorable. I love these chocolate koala bears. They are very tasty. Yeah, that was some people's reaction to that. No, that's a pretty good one. Yeah, I've never really gotten too into One Piece, but I have thought at times about getting into the manga. I imagine in some far-off future, please stop revving up motorcycle outside. I imagine in some far-off future where I actually have free time, in however many decades that takes to get to, I will sit down and, like, get One Piece and see what all the hubbub is about that series. The most exposure I ever had was the delightful 4Kids version. Ayo, ayo, dreamin', don't give up, Luffy. That wonderful, wonderful dub that has the best censorship I have ever seen in my life. That's pretty much the only experience I had with it. The series seems fun, but just did not grab me. I think it's how wacky they make the faces at parts that it's like, it feels too like they're trying too hard to me. It's still fun, but it's like a bit overboard at parts. But of course, the 4Kids situation also doesn't help that much. They are so horrible, but it's like a train wreck you can't look away from. It's like, I know this is garbage, but I have to see where it's going. Like Sonic X. Sonic X is not a great anime. It is lazy animation. It is garbage animation at parts. But the Japanese version is watchable. The English version is horrible. And, I remember seeing the Japanese, like, the first episode in Japanese, and 4Kids, I know exactly why they did this. It's like where Eggman has his robot robbing the bank or whatever, and police are on the ground, like, trying to get him to stop. And he has his robot fire, like, it shifts the perspective of the camera to the police chief that's, like, yelling at them. And, like, you're looking through the police chief's eyes. And Eggman has the robot fire its, like, hand missile object thing directly at the camera. And it cuts to black. And it's like, oh, okay, yeah. I see why they censored that. Like, it didn't show anything graphic, but it's like, yeah, that guy probably died. Which I'm all for death in, like, adventure shows and stuff, that's fine. Like, Amphibia would be better if they allowed it to show, like, blood at parts. But it's fine the way it is. So it's sort of a similar feeling situation in that sense to me. Like, you could have the blood and the, like, actual injury pronounced, but not doing that is like, okay, yeah, it's kids programming, so sure. Obviously there is blood and death in Doko's comics here. Doko's comics are an adventure for all ages, I would say. Not for, like, little babies, but stuff that can be enjoyed by all ages. Yeah, because generally I view, like, the age rating stuff as way too strict a lot of times. Like, a lot of things that are aired for children in different eras are simply not allowed to be shown today. Which does not feel like that's how it's supposed to be to me. That's just how I've always viewed things. Let me check something here. Okay. Yeah, alright. There we go, there we go. Oh, I gotta get Opticlops' eye. Opticlops was a character that I felt kind of wary about making, because I had... with how he looks, how he's like a red-bodied, single-eyed character, it might give implications that he has to do with a certain type of beings that will be introduced later on, but they are not what I was thinking of when I was making him. I was just thinking, oh, this guy looks like he'll be a cool, mystical-looking character. But at the same time, I haven't really said much about the backgrounds to the fighters, so there's a few things that have been said for some of them, but for others, it's more, well, what we do know about them doesn't contradict any information I can come up with of them. So, whatever his background is, I can sort of fidget around depending on if I want to have him doing with those, like, being involved in the sort of lore of that type of stuff. Or if I want to exclude him, he can just stay a mystical, creepy eyeball guy that's just sort of his own thing. That was probably the biggest issue story-wise that I ran into with the fighters, because there's not much story that they affect in the tournament itself. I think Decker is he's from some principalities, but I can't remember what they're called right now. I forget if I said where Veltzer is from. but it's like when the announcer is introducing Veltzer and Decker in the first match in the previous comic. He says where, I think, where Decker is from. Ugh. Talk. I hope I'm not overwhelming the viewers with too many streams. Feels like I've been doing these quite a few of them. I mean, I know it's more content for the YouTube channel, but I don't wanna, become too annoying or anything by doing them too constantly. I am going to need to take a bite of something again. My stomach is starting to growl. Okay. Corn nuts. Ah. Yeah, that is not going to be enough stuff for me. But let us get a chocolate koala. Okay, that'll hold me over for about probably 3 minutes. Take a sip of this horrible tea. Ugh, tastes like medicine. Which I guess makes sense, it's supposed to help with colds and stuff like that, but I was just getting it to see if it would help with the body pains I have at all. So far, it doesn't. It just makes me not have good tastes in my mouth. Yeah, my stomach is very hungry. I am absolutely going to make that ramen after this. Slice off a piece of ham and cook that up along the side. Probably steam the broccoli or... I never eat ramen by itself, just the noodles is like nothing. You gotta have something else you add to it. Yeah, good thing to do, an easy one to add is egg. While the ramen is boiling, like, you bring the water to a boil, you put the ramen in, and then in the last 2 minutes, you crack an egg and stir that into the boiling water with the ramen. And then that'll just cook, if it's, like, the high heat. And then when you're pouring things out, like straining it, obviously, just... the egg will stay in if you strain it correctly. Doko likes a good bowl of ramen. Doko is all about the Asian food. He loves sushi and onigiri, onisubi, omasubi. All of that stuff. Of course, that all has to do with the old sage raising him. Him and the old sage live right on the, like, shoreline of Hanprint Island. So all they have to do is just go catch a fish, cook up some rice, and they got a meal going. Let's see. Okay. That's still going. Let's just cut off a bit of that hair there. Okay. Fill in, fill in, fill in. Let's save. Doko small eyes. Then I figure I'll make the whole panel around Levicat in the bottom right here black. Just to pop him out and make it more contrasted looking. Draws the eye of the viewer better that way. Well, thank you for joining us, Handgun. I hope you have a good day, and hope you enjoy your Resident Evil and your creations. I'll talk to you later. Yeah, all that I use for creating the comic pages is just a number 2 pencil and a piece of paper. Unless I'm doing, like, the colored pages, then I do watercolors for the, like, paints. And I used to use Sumi ink, but I've switched over more now to, the brush pens, the ink, the black ink that is, like... It's like, it has the end that looks like it's a paintbrush, but it's more of a pen-shaped object and you don't have to dip it. It's all the ink is in there. Which eventually runs out, but you just get another, so... I figure that since I edit the blacks online, like on the computer anyway, there's very little sense in, like, just doing the entire blacks as black as possible. Physically. So, it doesn't matter as much in that regard for that part of the process. For me, every creator does it differently. Oh, Doko definitely loves 4-Kid donuts. That's always a treat for him. Oh, well, thank you, Shadow. I am told that, my handwriting is quite a bit good. Though, for me, it's just normal, kind of. My main problem is coming up with, like, when I'm writing what the characters say, judging how big the word balloons need to be. And then, on top of that, keeping the wording simple enough that it doesn't just stretch out into this elongated, like, tangent that just covers the screen with words. Yeah, I've gotten better at that aspect, I think, over time. The earlier comics are complete garbage when it comes to, like, the wording and stuff. That is something that I intend to fix when I start remaking the early comics. The layouts and, like, how much space is dedicated to the words and stuff. Because for comics, it's primarily a visual medium. My dad would always... Well, this pertains more to story in general, but my dad would always say that... What did he... You can have a good story, but if a good story... Sorry, I'm trying to think here. Good art can save a bad story, but a good story cannot save bad art, is what he would say about comics. And that is something I sort of agree with, because the main draw of comics is the pictures. So, like, you can have something that is very wordy and very thought out and stuff, but if it's like stick figures and everything, and the word balloons are just scattered all over the place, it's like, no one's gonna care about that. It is... Although, in this day and age, there's people that care about anything, so even that's sort of subjective, but that's the point I'm trying to say, is it's always important to be able to see the art more than anything to me. Yeah, that was way too thought out of a thing to, like, say. Did not need to give that much effort. Yeah, I think, Levicat, Aquashi, and Decker all have gems on their heads. I guess for Levicat, it's a helmet, but for Aquashi and Decker, it's their heads that the gems are in. Not sure why they're there, if they're just decorative, or if they're like some traditional thing, but they felt like they'd add more to the characters' designs. One thing that I always found interesting is with Mega Man X, they'd always prioritize making the Mavericks, the bosses that you fight, having all of their silhouettes be different, so that they wanted them to look as unique as possible. So you got all the crazy designs that the X games have because of that. Yeah, I'm not sure if my dad's little saying really applies to the word balloon thing, but it's what popped into my head at the time when I was... Yeah, I could probably put words in, like, in here and stuff. But in certain scenes, it does just clutter things up if you put too many words in. Let's get back to doing the last of the blacks here. But Bill Watterson is one of the legends of comic making. He knows how to do pretty much everything naturally later on. And some people are just born knowing how to do stuff, which I am very envious of. Don't have to show off, the rest of us gotta work for this. I'm happy for you, but I hate you. Setting that expectation bar pretty high there, buddy. One person I always love to see work is Yoji Shinkawa. He is incredible at making stuff. Like, he can do, like, Metal Gear stuff without putting down any pencils or anything. Just goes straight to the inking process. Just magic. Yeah, it takes a while for a normal person to, like, catch on to the intricacies that goes into creating stuff. Well, I can't help it at this point, Handgun. It's kind of my life. What I live to do. And I thought you were going to bed. Or no, I think you were just leaving. It was, I think it was Versus that was going to bed. Hunger, hunger, hunger. Hi, I'm Woody. Howdy, howdy, howdy. I just realized I've had this one music track playing the entire time. I hope it's not too boring after all this time. Another chocolate koala. Keep wanting to call these baby koalas, but it sounded a lot worse if I was saying I was eating baby koalas. So we'll stick with chocolate koalas. Koalas are such doofy creatures. They'll just roll around everywhere. Hi, I'm Woody. Howdy, howdy, howdy. Leathercat's supposed to be the oldest of the fighters in the tournament. Some panels he looks more like an older guy than in others, but it always depends on how many, like, lines I put under his eyes here. Yeah, it's really just Tails in old age. Put a helmet on his head and made some device to give himself, like, levitating telekinetic abilities. Chopped one of his tails off and trimmed the other one. He is a flying type, so I guess that could make sense. You know, back in the old days, if we had the Sonic and Mario movies that are out now back then, there would be so much fighting from the fanboys. Like, they already wanted to, like, cut each other and stuff in that rivalry, but having that type of fuel would have just caused complete chaos for the fan bases of the time. Fortunately, in that sense, we got the stellar live-action Mario movie. The greatest movie ever created. A cinema masterpiece. Yeah, you got Jack Black, we got a businessman human Koopa. And nightmare fuel Goombas. Oh, there's a portfolio day? I have no idea what that is, but... Oh, it looks like something where you show off artwork. I'm not quite sure how you do that, but I will try to find pieces to show. Not sure if I need to I completely forgot what I was saying. I'm not sure what I'd need to, like, tag on the post to make people see it, but, I guess I'll look into that after I'm done, and I just remembered I have a shadow symbol up here that I need to fill in. That I left blank because I knew I was gonna fill it in. Blank on the physical page, not blank here. It being blank here was me just forgetting about it. I was going to put in some kanji lettering that was going to, like, translate to Loser's Lounge, but there was no place to put it with, like, the word bubble here or anything. So there's an instance of word balloons getting in the way of what could be art. I know a lot of people probably now just add in word balloons and words digitally, but I still do it the pencil and paper. It's on the actual physical artwork. Mostly because I have not, well, I need to come up with the sentences and lay out the word balloons as I'm making it. Sometimes I'll have parts of a script written out, like typed up and stuff, but a lot of times I am just making the words as I go and keeping track in my head what has been said before. Although that's gotten harder in recent years, I assume due to my infection or whatever I have affecting my brain. I sometimes forget why I even come into rooms now. But I still got the comic in my head, so that's what matters. As long as I'm moving, I'm gonna be making this. Yeah. Oh, well, that's a delightful little horror thing, Bowyer. I'll have to try to remember to check that out later. Okay, I think I have all the blacks black. And now I go to 200%. So that I can see all the lines, and then get rid of that, so only the white background is left, and then we can fill this all in. Ugh. Now a chocolate koala. Here we go. I always love that Heath Ledger moment, the here we go. That Joker moment of the movie. Although, everything about that Joker is great to watch. You do not watch the movie for Batman, you watch it for the Joker. I guess I'll get some more corn nuts out. Yeah, that sounds like a fast food place I would not want to eat at, Ballier. I did always like crawling around in those things, though. Makes me think a bit of the ball pit car episode of Infinity Train. How they're trying to avoid the tentacles of the stewardess in there. Another chocolate koala. The chocolate they fill these things with is a lot creamier than I remember them being when I was younger. Yeah, I've wanted to make a creepypasta a few times over the years. I just never was able to set the time aside to do those. One of them involved, like... what was it called? It was like this very obscene arcade game. I forget the name. Maybe it was like... I don't think it was Slaughterhouse, but it was basically a torture video game that people generally do not allow in arcades. And I was going to have, like, this person that got trapped inside of it and an investigator that was looking into it and stuff. It would have related to this one of the areas on Earth that you're not really allowed to go. It was like decades ago where they had tried to build these, they look like futuristic pods, sort of, was the aesthetic they were going for, but it got closed down due to the amount of people dying making the stuff. I forget what the place is called, but it would have related to that incident. I think Polybius, or Polybius? Whatever that myth game is called, it would have related to that also. And then there was one I had an idea for about a prototype Sonic and Knuckles cartridge that would have been able to connect to any game and have you play as Knuckles in any Genesis game. and retroactively the person would have hooked it up into like emulators, and it would have actually restructured modern games to have you play as Knuckles there. And going through like the original Sonic games with it connected would have caused this time paradox thing, and some sort of entity would have started hunting the person that was messing around the cartridge. Like, bonus levels would show you where it is and stuff, and he'd slowly realize that the thing that he's controlling is getting closer to his house once he realizes that the areas in the bonus levels like look like streets he knows and stuff. It's ideas that I've had, but never really got the chance to work on. Doubt I'll ever do them, but just one of the many ideas of mine. Or two of the many ideas of mine. I always love those things people make, the pictures people do, where they just slap Knuckles on as a and Knuckles edition of something. Like, DiGiorno's Pizza and Knuckles. Just stuff like that. Sonic and Knuckles and Knuckles and Knuckles. I have connected two Sonic and Knuckles cartridges together and had like another game on top of them. Like, I think Sonic 3 on top to see what would happen. It just plays the normal Sonic 3 and Knuckles is all. The extra Knuckles game is basically just wasted space, pretty much. Ugh. God, this tea is horrible. I hate this. Ugh. Ba-da-bum-bum-bum, ba-da-bum. Oh, no. Ba-da-bum, ba-da-bum-bum-bum. Ba-dum-bum. Bum-bum-bum-bum-bum. I keep drinking it because it's the drink I have here. I'm not going to get up and make a 6-minute long cup of coffee, or no, tea. So, like, you guys will just be sitting here doing, like, listening to nothing. So I am going to bear the tea for you because I care. Ding, bum, bum, bum. Bum, bum, ba-da-dum. I am figuring that probably once I'm done filling in the white lines on here, I am probably gonna stop the stream and make that ramen to eat. Because I am starving. These corn nuts and chocolate koalas can only get you so far. Yeah, no, Doko loves rice balls. And just so you know, Daniel, that is, omasubi and onigiri. Those are what rice balls are called. It's like their actual names. Dad would always make our rice balls with like salmon in them. I love those. Although rice balls with furikake on them is also pretty good. Just the sprinkles of like fish and fried crab and stuff. I love that. Although that's good on any type of rice. And if you're Uncle Roger, you just put MSG on everything. Use wok. Use wok. Well, join in the hunger. It probably won't be too much longer before I get up to eat, so you can probably get a chance to get something as well, then. Yeah. Gotta work, gotta keep on working. Almost done with, well, almost done with the base version of the page, the basic part of it. Then I'll go over and see what all needs to be etched in more. I really hope Doug TeNapel gets to work on some of those, to work on the, Earthworm Jim comics again. It's been a few years since he released the second one. I love me Earthworm Jim. I remember he said it was planned to be a 5-comic series, but he's only on number 2. They're like 160 pages each, so it is not a quick thing to make. But at the same time, he's just sort of drifted off from doing comics to getting involved in all the political stuff now, and bleh. I just want him to make stuff. Oh, it's fine, Bowyer. Not many... Unless people, like, are into the more Asian type of stuff, people usually just say rice balls. I say rice balls, but I also call them onigiri and omasubi and stuff. It's kind of interchangeable for me. Yeah, sushi, onigiri. Gyoza. All such wonderful foods I wish I could make appear in front of me without any effort. Steam buns. Yeah, the store here is getting rid of my favorite kind of steam buns. At least they have a going out of, like, stock sign on them. Which is the barbecue pork steam buns. Those were always a treat for me when I was younger. Make a bowl of ramen and have one of those on the side. Dip it in the broth every so often. Or just eat it by itself. It tastes good either way. Ba-da-ba-da-bum. 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 Oh, hello, Masasa. How are you doing? Coming in towards the tail end of this one. We're just working on a comic page here. Doko's going around the inside of the building that's like behind the ring of the tournament, looking for the hawker. And we've been talking about things like food and banned books and all sorts of other things. Classic comic book artists like John Romita and Steve Ditko and everything, and what people's favorite superhero shows are and stuff. Oh, that's always an... Sorry, I've been eating corn nuts and getting stuck in my throat. That's always a good subject to draw. I know Bowyer loves that. And you do love drawing those yourself, I know. We don't have any of that on this page, I don't think, though, Mech was poking Tesley's ass in the previous one. Yeah, Mech and Tesley are hanging out on the outside of the building, half phased through a wall. Probably contemplating how things will go with, Hawker not being the one that Doko is gonna be fighting. You've been drawing on stream lately, or just on your own? Because you were doing some pretty long streams the other week. Apparently it's Portfolio Day today on Twitter, according to Shadow. Which I am going to see what that's about after I'm done here. Yeah, if I were of the younger generation, I would probably already know all the stuff and know what hashtags to type up and all that. But since I am not based, as the youngins would say, I need some help sometimes. This could be either very PogChamp or very Papago. This is very soothing music to work to. Makes it very, very easy to flow. I brought my radio out here the other day. I've had that under my bed since I got here because of Grandma not wanting things out, but I can do what I want now. Yeah, I've had my radio since, yeah, well, let's see. Probably over 15 years now. It has like a tape player in the top of it, and you can put 5 CDs in it. I used to listen to episodes of Edda and Eddie that I burned onto CDs in it. Just listen to the audio and imagine it, because I had every single episode of Edda and Eddie memorized. Just like I had the Matoran alphabet in Bionicle memorized. I could remember very, vividly back then. Oh, well, I do have that, adorkableness quality to me, apparently. The very dry-speaking person that says stuff that you would not expect them to say. That is something that would always, put off people that I work with if I, cursed or something. Because with how I am, no one ever expects me to, say anything like that. So when I did say stuff, it wouldn't be angry. I'd just say it God damn it, or son of a bitch. And they'd all, everybody would just look at me and, look at each other to see if they, heard what I said correctly. Yeah, I remember someone was driving me to work once, and I said something like one of the lyrics to a song that was, obscene. And they were like, you know, I always forget that you can curse. Yes, we are very elite on this stream. I don't think anyone uses the term elite anymore. That was more when people would, flip the calculator upside down to form words. 8008. And, no, I'll save the rest of the chocolate koalas. Okay, do we have everything all blackened up here? Well, people don't see anyone as an adult artist until they see what they actually make. And then it becomes more of a matter of, oh, should I really be liking what I'm seeing? But they made it so good, but is it wrong for me to like this? Meh. It's humans being humans. Ah, here's something to fill in. What was this? Oh, it's Veltzer von Vangel. That's his mustache there. Because he has the other part chopped off from when Decker ripped it off at the end of their match in the previous comic. And then he tried to bandage it up. It's sort of an artificial mustache. Yeah, people, the general audience always has iffiness when they see things that are society-wise considered inappropriate. But anyone's allowed to like anything they want. As long as they're not, physically hurting somebody, it's all whatever. Ba-da-bum-bum, 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 ba-da-bum. Yeah, there's an audience for everything. Yeah, let's get the black down there a bit. Black over there. I think that's good for the shirt. Okay. Okay. You sound fine. I used to hate how I sounded, but I've heard myself so much over the years now on YouTube that it's like, oh yeah, I sound like that. I'd prefer not to, but I guess I'll live with it, because I have to. It's not as embarrassing as I used to think. I think my parents would have allowed me to swear later on. I wasn't allowed to when I was younger, Valier, but later on, I'm pretty sure they would have allowed me to swear, but I never did, because I was always the kid that followed the rules for, like, everything. So, whatever my parents said, I just did. And then, I'm pretty sure that caused problems for them raising me, because since I never did anything wrong, they didn't know, like, if I needed to be punished as much for something, or if I was growing up correctly since I wasn't breaking rules and stuff. Yeah, for me, it's just, well, you guys said not to do it, so I didn't do it. Yeah, I think there is some degree of disobedience that humans are expected to go through. And I think it's part of how the general public doesn't consciously think they should grow, but at the same time subconsciously thinks that they should be like. Because following all the rules gives a pretty boring life. And I think nobody wants a boring life. But at the same time, breaking rules and stuff is frowned upon. And breaking the social norms is not something people actively want to do normally. Or think that they should do normally. But it also comes down to the different families and stuff and how individuals decide to raise kids and all that. Each family is basically its own government, kind of, that works under the umbrella of the bigger overall governing body of society. And that all sorta conglomerates into one umbrella of how things should be according to a civilization. Oh, well, once you're an adult, that doesn't matter at that point. You should be able to do anything you want by then. Yeah, you wanna beat somebody up? You are free to do that, and then free to get caught by the police. Okay. No, this page went quicker than I thought it would. How many? Oh, it's 2 hours and 20 minutes. I guess that's a decent time. Okay. Are all the blacks okay up here? Yeah, that looks alright. It looks alright. Yeah, maybe make this a bit more slishy sloshy on the inside of the tea kettle. Get the nostril a bit more here. And maybe his nose more. Let's see, should we do... Huh. I don't know if I want to do the foot like this, but I'm giving a... thinking about it. Let's see how it looks. Alright, I'll have you guys decide. Does Leathercat's foot look better with the black? Or without it? With the black? Or without? Personally, I'm thinking it looks better without it. Because with the black, it just looks sort of like it cuts off like a block there. This way, it looks more like there's a roundedness to the soul and everything. What I am gonna do is chop the eye off at that point there. There we go. Nope. There we go. Do I want a koala, or should I have... I'll have more of the corn nuts here. Yeah, I'll just leave the foot like this, I think. Let's see how Doko is here. A line that is thick in the middle, like that. Because his foot, the underside of it, is supposed to be one, like, undisturbed surface. It doesn't have, like, soles, like, ridges or anything to the foot. I think that's probably the best way to leave it, because I didn't do any, like, shadows to it in the physical process. And adding shadows to it with pure black will make it look weird. Alright, yeah. In chat afterwards, we can look at that. Okay. Yeah, just Doko hollering through the building. Oh, I know. I need to blacken this area down here of the regeneration tank and show there's nothing in it. There we go. There we go. Got the vent there. Got the kanji up there. And how do I do the shading? Oh. Well, when I make the comic pages, like how it's white there and gray there, what I do is I sketch in a bit of graphite around the figure, and then smudge it with my finger, and then afterwards, I'll erase out the parts that are supposed to be lighter. And I don't, like, shade it across the entire object. I shade it in the general area of where the shadow would be. And then I use the eraser afterwards to make sure that it's curved out enough for the lighting. Yeah. And then after that is when I do all the black lines and everything for the characters. Yeah, I've gotten better at that shading over time. It's never been too terribly hard. The worst of it was just if I shaded too much and wore out the finger and stuff. And obviously it leaves your finger completely black afterwards, so you have to wash it. But that comes with any art of any sort, is the messiness aspect. Well, that is a very traditional technique. Although a lot of people use smudging tools, I've just always used my finger because it usually feels like it smudges better than the utensils to me. The utensils feel more controlled, whereas the finger, it feels more like it gives a more natural area that it covers. And then the editing afterwards with the eraser makes it feel like it's more natural to me. Really, it's however you want to do it, though. Bada-boom, 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 bada-boom. Okay. Yeah, I think I've got all the blacks pretty much done. Yeah, so here's the page. Doko is Running through the building. Hawker, Hawker! Oh yeah, I should be looking for Stacy. Stacy! Hawker! And runs up the steps and bursts into the loser's lounge area. And then is just questioning them on where Stacy is, and then Levicat says she probably wants to be alone if she ran off and stuff, and that Doko should be focusing on the upcoming final match. And that's going to lead into the next page where the fighters are talking to him about the Claw, which is who he will be fighting. And I guess here's the page without the blacks. Here it is with them. And I guess for an... well, that doesn't really do much, but here it is without the white border to the panels. Here it is with it. Yeah, so that's the comic page. Probably gonna do a few tiny edits here and there after this. Oh, wait. I see a part I did not get. This window back here. It's supposed to be showing the night sky in the background. This is why we go over the page multiple times. Okay. Fill that in. Well, the meat is the main part. And these corn nuts keep getting stuck in my throat. But if I keep eating the chocolate koalas, I will run out of chocolate, and I don't want that. I like chocolate. It's what Mother always said life was like. Well, you are the one that's choosing to do that, Masasa. You don't have too many people to blame. Okay, that's filled in. And then there's another, yeah, a window over here. And the little bar going through it is just sort of to show the reflective glass of the window there. Well, there are... that's a pretty fine thing to blame. Okay. Is that window blackened that no one is going to pay attention to? And now let's add in some stars. Star. Yeah, I was thinking of a part from my Resident Evil review that I'll eventually do that has Nemesis at one part going stars, which gets my attention when I walk by at Blockbuster, and I just look around and look at it and be like, oh, you're a monster that can talk. But who knows how many years it'll be before I actually get to making the Resident Evil review. Come on, I don't want the stars that big. Okay, there we go. There we go. There we go. Okay, let's just not do a star at that one. Alright, now I think it's done. I think it's done. Okay. There we go. There we go. And now I am done with that. Ouch. Popping body bones. Ow, ow, ow. And I guess I will touch up whatever little tiny specks I'm going to after this stream, which I am going to be ending, I think. We have been working for 2 hours and 36 minutes, so I'll probably talk to some of you in chat after this, and I will see about that portfolio day on Twitter and stuff, and I will make ramen to eat. I hope you all have enjoyed your time here, and enjoy the rest of the night. I'll talk to you all later.